The question they asked me was in relation to some statistic they had read earlier, which was about the amount of people who have gone through some sort of traumatic experience. And it was a staggeringly large number. And what they asked was, well, people have gone through that. There's so much information out there, so much data. What do you recommend for people who have gone through something like that, some sort of trauma? How do they begin to deal with it, heal from it, move through it? And my suggestion was there's really three core things that somebody needs to do in response to going through some sort of trauma. Number one is talk about it. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with the ramifications of creating cultural norms around sucking up, stiff upper lip, big boys, big girls don't cry. We're supposed to hold on to it, bury it, stuff it down deep. And that does nothing good. Think about going to the bathroom in the morning, not flushing your toilet. It's 105 degrees outside and the air conditioning's broke. When you come in, you're going to still have to deal with the shit that's just going to get even messier. And not dealing with that traumatic stuff is much the same way. So talking with it is one of the greatest ways to process it. Now the caveat to that is this: when you talk about it, you want to make sure you're talking about it to people who are able to hear, listen, and provide feedback if necessary. Sometimes our friends and family, as well-meaning and best intentioned as they are not often the best sources to talk through something like this. A trained therapist, trained coach, some sort of professional can be great and have an unbiased opinion to help navigate you through this. The second thing is we got to move through it. We're the only animal that I can think of that doesn't participate in the following. When we go through some sort of traumatic event, if you watch other animals, if you ever watched the Discovery Channel, you've watched your household pets get scared, what do? They do some sort of physical motion, kind of shake off, release the energy after a traumatic experience, right? You watch the Discovery Channel, you see the gazelles being chased by the lion, and once the pursuit is over, the gazelle kind of does some sort of involuntary movement, and then it goes back to grazing and carrying on like it was. Nature has biologically engineered that release mechanism in it, because otherwise, if they held on to that trauma, they would constantly be living in a state of fear and anxiety like we do when we hold on to it. So what happens, what I suggest that people do with this, is when we have something that triggers that response, our heart starts racing, we have some sort of reaction to something, do something to physically disperse the energy. What I've done many a times, I wake up in the middle of the night, something happens, I roll right out of bed, do push-ups, do some squats, go for a walk, go for a run. Anything that you can do to help you move through the emotion is going to be a great way to help your body start to release it and start to process it. And the third and final thing, give yourself the grace of patience. This is not a race. It's not an endurance event. It's not a sprint event. It takes time, and understanding that if you do the first two, talking through it and physically moving through it, you will get through it.